Welcome to Heroic Mission, where we don't just tell stories, we shine a light on the quiet, everyday heroes that often go unnoticed. In a world that moves too fast, where kindness can feel rare and hardship often goes unseen, we pause to witness the beauty of resilience, the depth of human love, and the power of compassion. This channel is dedicated to the people who show up when it's hard, who give even when they have little, and who believe in doing the right thing simply because it's right. These are the moments that remind us what it truly means to be human. Today, we invite you to walk alongside a man named Noah, a 90-year-old husband working long hours under the summer sun just to care for his beloved wife, Grace, who is battling Alzheimer's. What begins as a quiet struggle in a supermarket parking lot becomes a deeply moving story of love, sacrifice, and a surprising encounter with Keanu Reeves, who happens to witness Noah's quiet heroism. This is more than a story. It's a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and welcome to Heroic Mission. In a quiet, working-class neighborhood just outside of Bridgeville, the morning light spilled gently through the faded curtains of a small home where Noah, a 90-year-old man, began his day as he always did, slowly, carefully, and with a heart heavy but hopeful. His joints ached, his breath came slower, but his spirit refused to break. His wife Grace, once vibrant and full of life, now sat in silence, her memories dimmed by Alzheimer's. Yet Noah cared for her with quiet devotion, dressing her, preparing her medication, whispering kind words she no longer fully understood. Each day he pushed his body past its limits, not for himself, but for her. As he kissed her forehead and whispered, "I'll be back soon, my love," he faced another shift at the local market, where he pushed heavy carts under the hot sun just to afford her medicine. Their home, though worn, was filled with love and old photographs, snapshots of a life that once was. In the American spirit of sacrifice, Noah carried his burdens with dignity, unwilling to ask for help, quietly praying each morning for the strength to make it through just one more day. Little did he know, everything was about to change. The parking lot of the Bridgeville market was already humming with life when Noah arrived. His old sedan creaked as he stepped out, knees stiff, hands gripping the door for support. He reached into the back seat for his faded work vest, the fabric thinned by years of labor but worn with quiet pride. "Another day," he whispered to himself as he began the familiar routine of collecting stray shopping carts scattered across the lot. The summer heat was rising, turning the blacktop beneath him into a griddle. Each step sent pain shooting through his legs, but he didn't complain. He never did. Noah had a job to do. Not for money, but for love. Every dollar he earned helped buy the medication that kept his wife Grace as comfortable as possible. While customers rushed past him with groceries and coffee, Noah moved deliberately, eyes sharp despite his age, determined to keep the parking lot neat. But not everyone appreciated his quiet effort. The young manager, impatient, dismissive, barked at him for working too slowly, not noticing the wince Noah tried to hide each time he bent his knee. "Just a few more minutes," Noah said gently, swallowing his pride. He didn't argue. He never did. Behind that weathered face was a man who had once built homes with his hands, danced barefoot with Grace on their wedding night, and held her tightly the first time she forgot his name. Now he pushed carts under the burning sun just to give her one more day of peace. As he caught a runaway cart before it hit a parked car, Noah whispered to himself, "Just one more day, Lord, just one more." He looked up at the sky, his eyes misty, offering a silent prayer. He wasn't asking for riches or miracles, only for enough strength to keep going. What he didn't know was that someone had been watching from afar. A man on a motorcycle had arrived, quietly, helmet in hand, sunglasses shading his thoughtful gaze. Keanu Reeves, drawn by something he couldn't quite explain, was witnessing the everyday heroism of a man the world passed by, and in that moment, something within Keanu stirred, a calling not to be a star, but to be a stranger who makes a difference. Noah didn't notice the man approaching at first. He was too focused on aligning the last row of carts, sweat gathering under his cap, pain pulsing through his joints. But then a calm and steady voice broke through the morning noise. "Need a hand with that?" Startled, Noah looked up to find Keanu Reeves standing there, casual, composed, and somehow familiar. No, I've got it under control," Noah replied, offering the kind of tired smile that said more than words ever could. But Keanu didn't back away. He took a step forward, his tone gentle but firm. "I insist." Before Noah could protest, Keanu was already helping him guide the carts into place, his actions quiet but deliberate. It wasn't pity in Keanu's eyes, it was respect. And in American culture, that distinction matters deeply. Noah, a man too proud to ask for help, saw something sincere in the stranger's face and nodded. "All right then, start with that row over there." As they worked side by side beneath the rising sun, the conversation flowed, naturally, like two old souls finding each other. Keanu asked how long he'd been working there. "A few years now," Noah answered. "Started when my wife got sick. Had to do something to keep us afloat. It's not much, but it's honest work." Keanu listened closely, not interrupting, not looking at his phone, not rushing the moment, just present. And in today's world, that alone felt like a gift. Noah talked about Grace, his wife of more than 60 years, and how Alzheimer's had slowly taken pieces of her away, but he didn't complain. He spoke with the quiet conviction of a man who knew what love meant, real love, the kind that stays through heartbreak, hospital visits, and long nights filled with silence. Keanu didn't flinch. He asked gentle questions, wanting to understand the weight Noah carried. And when the moment felt right, he offered a simple gesture. "Let's grab a coffee, my treat." At first, Noah resisted, but fatigue and Keanu's sincerity softened his defenses. They walked to a small cafe near the market, grabbed 2 cups, and sat on a bench just outside. As cars passed and shoppers hurried by, 2 men from very different worlds shared something deeply human. Noah, holding his coffee with weathered hands, spoke the kind of truth that silences a room. "I sold the house, the furniture, even my old tools. I just wanted her to have a fighting chance." Keanu looked at him, really looked at him, and said, "You're a strong man, stronger than most I know." Noah chuckled, eyes tired. "Might just be stubbornness." Keanu smiled, but inside he was shaken. He had come to the market by chance, but he knew now that this moment wasn't an accident. It was a calling, a quiet nudge from the universe to step into someone's story, not as a savior, but as a witness and a friend. As they finished their coffee, Keanu looked at Noah and knew he couldn't walk away from this man without doing something. Not because Noah asked for it, but because heroes like him never do. As the sun reached its peak and the summer heat radiated off the pavement, Keanu Reeves stood silently near the edge of the market parking lot, watching Noah return to his task, lining up carts with slow, deliberate care, each step seemingly heavier than the last. Keanu had heard everything that morning over coffee, the sacrifice, the loss, the refusal to quit. He had seen it in Noah's eyes, that quiet, unwavering strength that too often goes unnoticed in a world rushing past people like him. Keanu didn't see a tired old man. He saw a husband fighting for the love of his life, one cart at a time, and that image lingered in Keanu's mind long after they'd parted. That night, as he sat alone at home, Keanu couldn't shake the feeling that their encounter was no coincidence. Some people are placed in our paths not to be admired but to be lifted, silently, selflessly. He knew he couldn't fix everything in Noah's life, but he could do something. So he made a decision, not as a celebrity, but as a human being. The next morning, Keanu returned to the market, not with a camera crew or a press agent, but with purpose. He walked straight to the manager's office. "Can I help you?" the manager asked, eyeing him with suspicion. Keanu leaned in, calm but resolute. "Yes, I'm here to talk about Noah." The manager raised an eyebrow. "What about him?" Keanu's voice didn't waver. "He shows up here every day in pain and silence and gives everything he has, not for himself, but for someone he loves. I want to help." Then he reached into his coat pocket and slid a check across the desk. "This is to cover Noah's salary for the next few months. Give him paid time off, let him rest, and don't tell him it came from me." The manager blinked in disbelief. He won't accept this. He's proud. Keanu nodded. I know. That's why you're going to tell him it's a store bonus or whatever sounds believable. He can never know it was me. The manager stared at the check, more than generous, and after a pause, slowly nodded. All right, I think we can do that. But Keanu wasn't finished. He left the office and walked straight to customer service, asking for the names of nearby pharmacies. He wanted to ensure Grace's medications, the ones Noah worked so hard to afford, would be fully covered. After a few quick calls and quiet arrangements, Keanu paid in advance for several months of prescriptions. No one else needed to know. No press release, no news story, just kindness in its purest form. Later that afternoon, Keanu returned to the parking lot. Noah was finishing another row of carts, moving slower now, his body clearly aching. Coffee? Keanu offered casually, holding out a cup. Noah accepted it with a grateful nod. You again, he said, half smiling. They sat on the same bench as before. The conversation was lighter this time, but the respect between them had deepened. At one point, Keanu asked, "If someone wanted to help you, what would you say?" Noah paused, looked out at the horizon, and said, "Help someone who needs it more than me." Keanu smiled, his heart breaking and swelling all at once. Maybe you are that person. Later that evening, after Noah's shift ended, the manager called him into the office. Suspicious, Noah entered slowly. The manager handed him an envelope and said, "You've been awarded a special store bonus. You've earned it." Confused, Noah opened the envelope. Inside was enough money to cover months of bills. His hands trembled. Tears welled in his eyes, but he said nothing, just nodded, overwhelmed. That night, he walked into his small home, clutching the envelope like it was made of gold. His wife Grace sat in her usual spot, holding their wedding photo. Noah knelt beside her and whispered, "We're going to be okay." For a moment she smiled, really smiled, and in that fleeting flash of clarity, it felt like all the years of sacrifice had led to this single sacred gift. And Keanu, parked in the distance on his motorcycle, watched them through misty eyes before riding off into the setting sun, not needing recognition, only the quiet knowing that today he had helped love win. That evening, as the sun dipped low behind the rooftops of Bridgeville, painting the sky in hues of gold and rose, Noah drove home with an envelope resting on the seat beside him, its weight far heavier than the paper inside. He didn't know who had left it. He didn't know why. All he knew was that something extraordinary had just happened. For the first time in years, the pressure on his chest loosened. He wasn't a man to cry easily. Life had taught him to hold back tears to stay strong, but as he pulled into his driveway and saw the silhouette of his wife Grace through the window, something in him cracked. Inside the envelope, along with a check large enough to cover their expenses for months, was a note written in soft, elegant handwriting. It read, "Take care of her. You are not alone." Just 8 words, but they reached deep into Noah's soul. He stepped into the house quietly. Grace was sitting in her favorite armchair, clutching their wedding photo, as she often did, her eyes distant and unfocused. Noah knelt beside her, took her fragile hand into his weathered one, and said softly, "My love, we have good news." At first she didn't respond, but then something in her expression shifted, a small spark of recognition, a flicker of memory breaking through the fog. Her eyes met his. "Noah," she whispered, her voice gentle, uncertain. Noah froze. It had been so long since she'd said his name. Tears welled up in his eyes. "Yes, sweetheart," he said, brushing her silver hair back from her face. "It's me. I'm here. I've always been here." She looked around the room, confused but somehow calm. "Is this our home?" she asked. "It's different." Noah smiled, a mix of sorrow and joy in his chest. "Yes, my love, it's still ours." Grace reached for the photo in her lap, her hands trembling. "I remember this day. Our wedding, it was beautiful." Noah nodded, unable to speak, the emotion too much to carry. She looked at him again, her gaze clearer than it had been in years, and whispered, "Dance with me." He hesitated for only a second before rising to his feet and offering her his hand. She took it, slowly standing with his support. There in their small living room they danced. No music, no choreography, just the sound of Noah's soft humming, the same song that had played the day they were married decades ago. Their movements were slow, fragile, but filled with meaning. It was a moment suspended in time, as if the universe had paused to let them have this miracle. In American culture, we call these moments sacred, not because of religion or ritual, but because they remind us what truly matters: connection, memory, and love. For that evening, Grace was herself again. They talked, they laughed, they prepared dinner together, like they used to, and as Noah helped her into bed, she looked up and said, "Thank you for never giving up on me. I love you, Noah." He kissed her forehead, whispering back, "Always, I love you too." Meanwhile, just a few streets away, Keanu Reeves sat quietly on his parked motorcycle, helmet resting in his lap, staring up at the night sky. He didn't need applause or recognition. He didn't need to be known as the one who helped. The note he'd left had said all he wanted to say: "You are not alone." That was enough. He thought about Noah's hands, strong, steady, worn from a lifetime of building, holding, giving. He thought about Grace's eyes, how they had brightened even just for a moment. He had seen something in them, something he hadn't expected: hope. That hope was worth more than any spotlight. Keanu smiled faintly and revved his engine. He wasn't just driving away from a parking lot. He was carrying a piece of someone else's life with him, a story that would stay etched in his heart forever. That day had reminded him that sometimes the most heroic thing isn't what you do on a stage or screen, but what you do when no one's watching. It's the kindness that asks for nothing in return. It's the love that keeps showing up, day after day, with no guarantee. And back at home, as the stars emerged above Bridgeville, Noah sat beside Grace on their front porch. Her head rested gently on his shoulder. The envelope still sat on the kitchen table, a symbol of something more than money. It was a message from a stranger, a blessing, a lifeline. Noah looked up at the sky and whispered, "Whoever you are, thank you. You didn't just save us. You gave us one more day of remembering what it means to truly live." Some stories don't just touch your heart, they awaken it. Noah's journey is more than a tale of hardship. It's a testament to the quiet strength of love, the dignity in sacrifice, and the profound impact of simple kindness. In a world that often praises loud victories, this story reminds us that true heroism can look like an elderly man pushing shopping carts for his wife's medicine, and a stranger who chooses to step in without needing applause. It teaches us that we all carry invisible battles, and sometimes the smallest gesture can be a lifeline. Whether it's a cup of coffee, a helping hand, or a silent act of generosity, compassion changes lives. And that's what we believe in here. At Heroic Mission, we share real stories that restore faith in humanity, stories that remind us who we are at our best. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think of someone you love, please share it. You never know who might need it today. And if you believe the world needs more moments like this, subscribe to our channel. Let's build a community where empathy leads and no one feels alone.